Islamic fundamentalists do not consider women as human beings, but as subhumans and subordinate to men. This is their outlook. This viewpoint is perhaps the most fundamental principle in their ideology. For the fundamentalists, as we can see in Iran today, gender equality is an existential threat. And this is simply a crime, as a violation of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's not culture, it's not history, it's not religion, it is a crime. And crimes need to be prevented, prosecuted, and punished. Let me give you an example. The regime's refusal to join the Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women is not a cultural issue, but exactly legal and political relevant to the security interest of an undemocratic and dictatorial regime. Iran was the first place where a fundamentalist regime established its rule. The idea of an Islamic caliphate was Khomeini's brainchild. Khomeini was the first person who said, we need a caliph who would decapitate and cut off hands. Human rights situation in Iran has deteriorated over the past couple of years. Despite all propaganda when Rouhani took office in the summer 2013, there has been no improvement. On the contrary, human rights conditions, including the situation of women, have deteriorated. More people have been executed, many in public, to terrorize the people. Women in Iran are the main targets of the mullahs' suppressive measures and denied their most fundamental rights. It is in Iran that discrimination against women has been legalized and institutionalized. While in many countries, women's rights are being violated, while in many Muslim countries, under the so-called Sharia law, women are being suppressed. However, Iran is unique, since this suppression has been embedded in their constitution, civil and administrative law, and everything has been institutionalized. Just weeks after the nuclear deal, Iran is in the midst of what Amnesty International has referred to as an unprecedented spike in executions. Currently, Iran's new moderate administration is on pace to hit a new 12-year high in executions. The regime continues to suppress his information and routinely underreports the actual number of executions. The major world powers' recent nuclear deal with the regime in Iran should not lead the West to ignore the appalling state of human rights in the country. Deals, and of course, not trade deals that involve even covering statues not to disturb the new client, cannot come at the price of human rights. There is an importance for the European Union and its representatives to use their position to uphold human rights and to expose human rights abuses in Iran. Because, my dear friends, in fact, Iran has had its nuclear bomb for almost 40 years. The Islamic Republic of Iran is the par excellence Islamic fundamentalist regime, a theocratic state which fate is governed by the rules of Sharia, the Islamic law, since 1979, a state where its citizens can vote for their president and parliament, but has its highest authority held by religious leaders, the mullahs, who approve or disapprove candidates. It is the supreme leader, the Ayatollah, who really holds the power of head of state and absolute power over what is divine and what is profane. Since then, there have always been wannabe followers of the Iranian model of the Islamic world. It is unnecessary to recall what happened in Afghanistan with the Taliban sect, neither what the savage and territorialistic ISIS advocates for. When or while Islamic fundamentalism is not able to grasp political power to organize the state according to its precepts, it embodies and develops the terrorist solution, sanctified by the jihadist mission of spreading good and preventing evil, holy war. During this long period of darkness, the Iranian fundamentalist regime has tortured and executed more than 120,000 people, tens of thousands of them women. But this doesn't belong to the past, to Khomeini's turmoil times. Don't get me wrong, it happens now, in our days. Since the so-called progressive and moderate Rouhani, when he took office in 2013, and with most of the international community's conspiratorial silence, more than 2,000 prisoners have been hanged, dozens of women. The list continues growing, as I said, by 700 in 2015. Nowadays, in 2016, Iranian women are systematically denied their civil, individual, and social rights. Laws are still in place, making the hijab compulsory by means of humiliating, arresting, and lashing women who do not wear it or do not wear it correctly, including tolerated acid attacks. They aren't allowed to attend sports events in stadiums or even sing. The effort to permanently exclude them from the social sphere reflects a political will of stunning them and simply turning them into procreation machines. Jamenei's objective is to double population and reach 150 million inhabitants by 2050. To do so, not only family planning programs are being abolished and access to vital sexual and reproductive health services is being prevented. Measures oriented and promoting marriage at a young age are also being implemented, together with repeated maternity and very low divorce rates, as well as consented discrimination towards single women or women without children when it comes to applying for a job, hindering divorce and preventing policy and judicial intervention in family conflicts, including those implying violence against women. Yes, do not be fooled. This is Iran, the epicenter of Islamic fundamentalism, a muscled and triumphant test site, master and reference for oppression and involution through the enrichment of the real essential uranium, misogyny. Fundamentalism is not only the enemy of Muslim women, but of all women and therefore of all humanity. It is a global and comprehensive threat to peace and security, open and unconcealed, growing on oppression, terror, and fear. The universal history of women's struggles for freedom and equality is fundamentalism's greatest enemy. That is why, with no doubt and full intention, women are the first victims of its destruction and its main target. Doesn't this seem like a complex and effective enough nuclear bomb? Isn't misogyny the enriched uranium of this unappealable destructive determination? Well, I firmly believe we can deactivate this bomb. Mariam Rajabi has been the first to call for the formation of a united front against Islamic fundamentalists. She has been the Muslim woman declaring that Islam supports absolute gender equality in every respect, from marriage and inheritance law to equal pay, and most importantly, equal participation in political leadership and decision-making positions in economic sphere. She, as a Muslim leader, rejects the mullah's so-called Sharia law. I am honored to be part of this force for change, Mariam, and proud to announce here as a contribution to this goal that I will launch next week a fully comprehensive and integrated European program on the role of women in the fight against radicalization. Mrs. Rajabi is the vanguard of the fight against Islamic fundamentalism. Mrs. Rajabi incarnates the possibility of a Muslim political leadership based on rule of law, equality, democracy, and freedom. And this is the best and only way to end extremism and fundamentalism. Thank you.